Good morning. It's so good to see so many faces out here. There are people here whom I've never met, and there are many people here who I love dearly, and I appreciate every one of you being here this morning. I started off the morning with a little bit of an adrenaline shot that I wasn't expecting, and so I'm going to proceed hoping that my allergy does not kick up. I don't want to sneeze, but one never knows when one has an allergy, when a little dust bunny is going to cause it. I'd like to start by just riffing a little bit about a childhood story. You know, we don't get old without having some childhood things precede us. And also, I want to point out one word, as much as this has to do with us having courage. The opposite of courage, I would say, is cowardice. And I hope that none of us will turn toward the cowardice signs in our lives. Back to my childhood. My mother used to take me to these wonderful Technicolor musicals when I was preschool and lower grades. And oh, they were so much fun. There were these wonderful women in sparkly costumes with feathers that fanned out all over, and they were kicking and dancing, and they were having such a good time. And for a while, I thought, when I grow up, that's what I want to do. But I also was taken to movies like Ma and Pa Kettle, where some of you might know there was an actress named Marjorie Main. In today's jargon, she probably would be referred to as a character actress, a la Judi Dench or someone of that nature, but she was more in humorous movies. But after seeing the kicking and dancing and the feathers, and then seeing Marjorie Main, somewhere along the line, second grade perhaps, I got in touch with the fact that if I got into Hollywood, I would probably only be given the Marjorie Main parts because I was a plain child. A plain child. Well, I was always interested in theater. In the second grade, I remember a pageant in which I was the Spirit of America, complete with a white net, fluffy skirt, and those little foil red and blue star stickers that we used to have in grade school. And then I was in school plays. And when I got into high school, I was active in theater. And so in my junior year, I played the role of a matron in something called Mr. Barry's Etchings. All 105 pounds, 5'2" of me, but I was a matron. In my 20s, age 23 to be exact, I played Grandma in a production of Tobacco Road. Well, while working as a sales promotion manager for Carson Peary Scott, age 44, I prepared a skit to kick off a big sale where I portrayed Ruth Buzzy's Gladys on a park bench, hairnet and all. And the store display director played Tyrone, the lecherous old man, actor Artie Johnson's role, both of Laugh-In fame. And now I'm living the dream. We've all heard the old saw, "Old age isn't for sissies," attributed to Betty Davis. But the quote has been converted into a light-hearted honky-tonk song, which I won't ask you to suffer through. Years ago, this phrase made no sense to me. Yeah, sure. But as an octogenarian, it has become crystal clear. No one warned me, as I aged, that my hair would stop growing where it normally used to grow, but show up where it's unwanted, like on my chin. No one told me that the whorls we take for granted on our fingertips wear away and only smooth skin remains. If I was ever to rob a bank, they could never track me by my fingerprints. They'd only have smudges now. They'd surely catch me, though, because my old knees can't run as fast as they once did. I used to see old people waddle, and I never understood it. But now, I have joined the best of the waddlers due to bad knees, bunions on my feet, and hip bones that have a life of their own. When I see young women today still wearing 6- and 7-inch heels, and the toes are pointed like a V for victory. I say to myself, what are they doing? They have no idea. Because years ago, as a professional in my jobs, I had to wear suits. And about the only shoes that were really readily available were those probably 3 or 4 inch at that time, high heels with those pointed toes. And I used to have to see a podiatrist twice a year because of plantar warts on the balls of my feet. Once I got into a job where I didn't have to wear those shoes, no more plantar warts, no more trips to the podiatrist. But nevertheless, all those years of those V-shaped toes have given me terrible bunions. But I have not wanted to have surgery because the women who have had that surgery usually are off their feet for 6 weeks. And being an active person, I just couldn't imagine being off my feet for 6 weeks. So skip that. The dictionary defines the word courage thusly, quote, the ability to do something that frightens one, strength in the face of pain or grief. And some similarities would be bravery, pluck, valor. Merriam-Webster goes on, courage, it's a moral strength to venture, persevere, and withstand danger, fear, or difficulty. There's a long list of synonyms you can Google. From my personal experience, I had to learn to be courageous. While I always had an independent streak, at times I was too timid. It took me years to develop courage, and even now, it comes and it goes. One of my favorite quotes is from Mary Oliver, quote, what do you plan to do with your own wild and precious life, end quote. It's taken me years to gain courage, which I believe is a handmaiden to wisdom and can only be developed from what we learned and apply as life happens to us. We are challenged often by the unexpected, the good, the bad, and the ugly. How we react and move through these events grows our courage and our wisdom. Early in my 20s, I was very naive and unsure of how far I could go. I had to learn to trust my intuition, and I learned the hard way when I didn't listen to the voice inside, which warned me of the opposite of a dilemma facing me. Gradually, I began to trust myself, to stand up for myself. I marched in the ERA protest in Chicago in either 1977 or 78. Google varies on the date, and I'm not clear about the date myself. But either way, it was soon after I lost my daughter because of a drunk driver. Recovering from the grief of that loss, I became much more an activist for women's rights. In summer of 1978, I took a 3-week vacation alone to San Miguel de Allende in Mexico to attend an art school, leaving my then husband and 19-year-old son to shift for themselves. This was a bold move on my part because before I would have shied away from doing such a thing. My full-time job in a department store advertising department kept me closely tied to home and my responsibilities as breadwinner. In 1980, I took a leap of faith, courage, and sent in my resume to a blind ad in the Rockford newspaper. Quote, Central Illinois group of department stores seeks a sales production manager. My head was already bruised from bumping up against the glass ceiling of the male-dominated organization, which I had slaved at for 13 years. Yes, I got the job offer, and it was one I couldn't afford to say no to. I went from a job at that time, in 1980, paying me $13,000 a year, to one paying $27,000 a year, plus the ability to expand my leadership skills and creativity. I had to have courage to make this leap, as I had many friends and a church community and a women's organization where I was a board member that I had to leave. In 2 more years, I got the courage to seek a divorce in a failed marriage. His alcoholism won out. But in the end, my courage propelled me toward a much more productive life. Now, 43 years later, I'm facing the next big crisis which so many of us have had to face or are facing. So many terms for people over 60 are so pejorative. That old lady, old man, that elderly person. I've been guilty of saying these from time to time. Even the dictionary definition of the word crone is, quote, an ugly old woman, end quote. Ouch. Last week I couldn't even spell crone, and this week I are one. A positive term is senior or senior citizen, also mature, experienced, venerable, or distinguished. I think I prefer for myself mature, seasoned, and experienced. You can choose your own words. I have a small fear that if some careless driver runs into me in their car, the news report will be about an elderly woman being involved in the accident, which immediately infers that it was her fault that he ran a red light. My body is 87, but my mind is more like 37, with the added wisdom I've gained since then. Technically, I've passed my sell-by date on that little plastic tag on my big toe, ready to be thrown out into the dumpster for some homeless person looking for a meal who would be shocked to find me. Sure, I sometimes forget a name of someone who I haven't seen in months or years, or an old movie star in a vintage photo, but I say there's a Rolodex in my brain so full of information that I need to flip through many pages to come up with the answer. How do we know when it's time for us to consider our living situations, our homes? Sometimes the decision is made for us by the fate of a physical disability, such as a heart attack, a stroke, Lou Gehrig's disease, or Lewy body dementia. In these cases, our families, our medical providers will offer solutions. I've learned that there's a 2-year waiting list to be accepted in some of the nicer assisted living apartments here in Peoria. 2 years? So much can happen in 2 years. Many people, some in our congregation, have chosen the decision to move into this type of facility before an emergency life-changing situation arises. I salute them all. But how do I, with the aging body, the stiff knees, the painful bunions, easily choose the lifestyle when my 37-year-old brain and 87-year-old body are at odds? I don't yet have the courage. At this point in my life, I realize I may have only 6 hours or 6 days or 6 months left. But part of my own denial is that 37 brain. If there was a heaven, and I don't believe in heaven or hell, I would see myself saying to St. Peter, "Why me? I'm not finished yet. I have so much more to do, and I'm not talking about cooking and doing dishes." I was moved to tackle this difficult topic after reading a novel by May Sarton, which I recommend highly. The title of the book is As We Are Now. It's written in first person. The subject is an educated single woman who gets placed into a facility by her older brother and his younger wife after Caro, C-A-R-O, as she is known, has had a heart attack and can't do stairs. The book is full of moving statements from this woman who keeps a diary of experiences and now is held captive in far from ideal circumstances. Here is one passage I found profound, and I quote, "The tide goes out little by little. The tide goes out, and whatever is left of us lies like a beached ship rotting on the shore among all the other detritus, empty crab shells, clam shells, seaweed, the indestructible plastic cup, a few old rags and driftwood. The tide of love goes out, and what is left of you? A lapis lazuli pin, a faded petal once pink, slipped into the pages of this copybook? But ironically enough, I, Caro, am still here. I have to manage to die, and whatever powers I must have, be concentrated on doing it soon. I want my death to be something more like me than slow disintegration. Do not go gently into that good night." The words, so hackneyed by now, come back to me like a command from somewhere down inside, while there is still fire. We still have fire in our souls. I found this next reading on a Facebook page. It's written by Sophia Jamil, and I quote, "You still have time. That's what we keep telling ourselves, and maybe we do, but maybe we don't. The truth is, we never really know. Time isn't generous. It doesn't pause. It doesn't warn. It slips through our fingers quietly like sand, soft, silent, and unstoppable. We measure our lives in years, in birthdays, in milestones, but life isn't made up of years, it's made of moments. And the hardest part is we don't know how many moments we have left. You might have 100 more sunsets to watch, or only 3. You might hear your mother's voice on the phone 1,000 more times, or maybe you have already heard it for the last time and you don't even know. You might get one more chance to say, I forgive you, or not. You might still have time to hold your child while they are small, while their arms still fit perfectly around your neck, while they still say, I love you, without needing a response. But those moments pass quietly, and once they're gone, they don't come back. We live like we are invincible. We make plans as if time is endless. We say, I'll do it later. I'll call them next week. I'll chase that dream when things settle down. But what if they never do? What if tomorrow never comes? What if the life you are waiting to live is passing you by right now, this very second? What if the life you're waiting to live is passing you by this very second? What if this moment, this exact one, is the last chance you'll have to say what matters most? To hold someone you love and you love without distraction. To cry without shame. To laugh without holding back. To be fully alive. This isn't meant to make you afraid. It's meant to make you aware. Because there's nothing more tragic than realizing too late that you were sleepwalking through the days that could have changed everything. So please wake up. Look up from the screen. Call someone you miss. Apologize if you need to. Say the words you've been swallowing. Do the thing that terrorizes you but lights a fire in your soul. Stop waiting for the right time. That time is now, right now. This breath, this heartbeat. You don't need more time. You just need to stop wasting the time you already have, because in the end, it's not the years you'll remember, it's the conversations, the embraces, the risks, the tears, the laughter, the love, the moments. So live for them, cherish them, protect them, because life isn't measured by how long you live. It's measured by how deeply you feel, how boldly you love, and how fully you show up while you are still here. And you are here. So make it count. So ends Sophia's reading. Another important component to our gaining courage is to face our uncertain futures. It is to embrace joy. Learn to celebrate joy and kiss it as it passes by. Cultivate the joy in your life. Do you experience joy in your closest relationships? Joy in gardening? Joy in humor and satire? Joy in special music or in making music or singing? Courage is being as happy as you can. Courage in being as happy as you can will help you to face whatever it is in your future. Extreme aging is the twilight zone in all of our lives. Try to enjoy every joyous moment. I relish in them. William Blake wrote, "Those who bind themselves a joy does the winged life destroy, but those who kiss the joy as it flies lives in eternity's sunrise." A brief closing prayer. Endless joy, infuse my wilting spirit with radiant vitality and the sweet savoring of life. Thank you.